Hi, I'm Joye Cauthen and I'm auditioning for the Southern Order of Storytellers. I'd like to take you back to the early 1930s, a time of the Great Depression when our country was reeling with hard times. A young South Georgia housewife and mother of 3 little boys captures the attention of the entire country by winning the Pulitzer Prize for Literature for her first novel, Lamb in His Bosom. 2 other Georgia writers have won this prestigious award, the highest literary award given in the United States. They are Margaret Mitchell in 1937 and Alice Walker in 1983. Caroline Miller, a young, inexperienced writer, chose as the theme of her novel the perseverance, faith, and courage of the South Georgia pioneer settlers. Readers were mesmerized by the struggle and brute faith that sustained these characters. Their own struggles began to pale in comparison. Earlier books had described these Southern people as ignorant and immoral, but she felt they had a beautiful culture and the utmost in ethical standards. Because of the authenticity of the book, 75 years later, it is still used in college classrooms to give students an accurate depiction of pioneer life. I'd like to share with you Caroline Miller's own words in a 1934 interview with the Atlanta Journal. These pioneers had something that anchored them and gave them faith and courage. These people are obscure, but they are an important part of our history. Their ancestors fought in the Revolution and in the Confederate War. They are patriotic citizens, loyal Americans, and people of high moral character. Despite the absence of formal education and even books, they were by no means lacking in culture and ethical standards. They were resilient, resourceful, intelligent people, educated with the resources available to them. And while I found my book among these people, I also found something which helped me. I discovered the fine spirit in which they met the hardships and tragedies, what they suffered, and their nobility in the midst of desperate conditions made my own problems seem less difficult. I hope that I have captured something of their patience and courage and faith, not only in my book, but also for myself. The book is described as being a type of lyrical prose, poetic in nature, much of it paying tribute to a woman's life lived close to nature, the nature outside and the nature within. At the age of 18, Cian, the main character, is expecting her first child, and the unexpected feelings of pregnancy take her by surprise. Strange feelings came and went inside her, shivers sharp and cold. The little unknown thing was growing within her as suddenly and surely as little cypresses take root in a stretch of swamp water way off yonder. It was coming upon her as quietly as the dark came up from the woods at night and hushed in the little clearing. Impulses swelled within her, swelled her body fit to burst. There were magnolias all through the woods. Cian broke blooms from the lower limbs of the magnolia trees and carried them home to scent her house and to droop heavy and white over her eating table. One day she went within the low-growing branches of the tree and climbed the trunk a little way. It was hot there inside the house of branches. The limbs ran out as rafters. The heavy green leaves walled about the space inside. Cian mulled over her thoughts. This was a magnolia house, green and rustling inside, with great white blooms hung about on all the walls. She would pull no more blossoms. She would leave them high and white on the tree. It was a house finished and trimmed. She would break no more blooms from it to set on her eating table. Caroline Miller was charming, composed, and engaging, which made her a popular speaker for civic, literary, and academic organizations. She told college audiences, "Every young writer can write a prize-winning novel." To a group of students belonging to an honorary fraternity of journalists at New Jersey College for Women, she assured them, "If I can write a prize-winning novel, so can you. You can do what you want to do. Believe me, the Lamb proves that. Don't let anyone tell you there's no drama in your life, or that your surroundings are too colorless for novel material. If you can't find the novel in someone else's life, look into your own. Perhaps you don't have any Georgia pines to write about, but there is something else quite as lovely in your life. I am certain of that. There never was another you. Write the way you feel it." Caroline Miller spent the last years of her life in a little cottage home in the mountains of North Carolina. She lived quietly there, doors unlocked, surrounded by her books and writing materials. Quilting, embroidery, and knitting projects were close at hand. She died at the age of 88. She had a profound influence on my life and is the reason I am a storyteller today. She was in awe of the dignity that she recognized in the poor people of the South Georgia backwoods. And her legacy reminds us that there is great beauty and poetry in every one of us. Her words, "There is something quite lovely in your life. There never was another you. Tell the story the way you feel it." As a storyteller, I know what Caroline Miller knew, that the greatest story of all is the story that is yours.